Welcome to podcast 43. Yes, 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 maybe, but yes.
And welcome back, everybody, to another episode of podcast 43. Chris, how have you been over the past week?
I've been good. Yeah,
Mhm.
just doing it. Still recovering from watching the Super Mario Brothers movie on Saturday.
I've never seen it, but I've heard tall tales of it.
Tall tales, you say?
Mm-hmm. Can't confirm if I can only confirm that they are not. They do not paint the film very well, but I'm excited to hear what you have to say about it.
Well, I'm actually going to plead the case for the film. Actually,
Okay, interesting.
I quite enjoyed it. It kind of has that edginess to it that I don't think a lot of children's films nowadays have, and they really don't make them like that anymore.
The fact that with Nintendo, Cat in the Hat.
Yeah, I mean, as a staunch Cat in the Hat lover, I can say that this one, yeah, this is it's a good time. It's so disconnected from everything that it's based off of, and I think that's what kind of makes it interesting is that Nintendo pretty much just gave the writers free reign to just do whatever they want. And like Dennis Hopper is like Bowser, but he doesn't look like Bowser. He just has like cornrows and like he just screams a lot and he's like this president. And then like there's this whole political underbelly to the film. And then I don't know, it's not like good, but it's fun,
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
To build off of that a little in a similar vein, but it's definitely a very dated movie. I watched Chris Evans's breakout role in Not Another Teen Movie. Have you seen it?
I've heard that Not Another Teen Movie is pretty all right as far as those parody movies go.
I agree. There are just a few really, really dated jokes. Like there's like this one joke that you like to understand the joke you have to had seen American Beauty, which fits within the time frame, that it, so it makes sense that they'd be making fun of it. And I don't think that the bit itself is very funny, but I think the finishing part of the bit is kind of funny. And how it culminates. But yeah, there's a few like there's one part in particular that I do not think is aged gracefully at all. And it's when a group of cheerleaders they drop the N-word.
Are you kidding me?
So the bit is I don't know, but there are bits that are not that have aged well, but I don't want to like get it, ruin them for anyone that hasn't seen it. But I don't think that it's a very good movie, but I think that it's a pretty entertaining movie with its drawbacks. So if you want to see where Chris Evans got his start, definitely check out that. And I was contemplating talking about a quote that he said when looking back on his career. He said that Not Another Teen Movie is not art, which I think was quite an interesting quote to say, given that he is or I guess was a very integral part of Marvel. And I'd like to hear his thoughts on whether he considers those films to be of some value of art to him, as Not Another Teen Movie was not. But yeah, what else did you watch over the past week, Chris?
I actually watched the new film Shiva Baby, directed by Emma Seligman and starring Rachel Sennott. But if you're familiar with Rachel Sennott, she kind of has a pretty big Twitter personality. and she's a comedian.
Mhm.
And it's actually a feature length version of a short that Seligman made at NYU a couple years ago, and I thought that it was really, I thought it was good. I thought it was probably one of the best things that came out last year that I've seen.
Mhm.
Probably like, I don't know, top 5, top 6 maybe.
Nice.
It's very funny, very uncomfortable. Kind of reminded me a little bit of
Not another teen movie.
Safdie. Kind of reminded me of the Super Mario Brothers movie and not another teen movie. Yeah, but I think that the short is only like, I think it's like 8 minutes, something like that, and so they really kind of stretch it out an extra 70 minutes. So,
Mhm.
but it's a very uncomfortable movie, but it's very funny. It's very good, like cringe type humor,
Mhm.
and it's just kind of about this girl that has like a sugar daddy, and she goes to a Shiva, which in case people don't know, that's a funeral procession for people that practice Judaism, and her sugar daddy's there with his wife and their baby, and
Mm.
it's just kind of very, it kind of channels the Safdies, or at least that's kind of how I saw it. I've also heard friends of mine describe it as kind of similar to that movie Krisha by, is that
Taylor Edwards
Trey Edward
or
Schultz?
yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, which I haven't seen it, but yeah, I'd say definitely check this one out. It's one of the better things that came out last year.
Yeah.
So
Well, I've been hearing good things. I just haven't gotten around to it. I guess if I can speak on a semi-recent movie that I got a chance to see, I went to the theaters and I saw Nobody, which I think we've talked about it a good bit. I think ragging on
Bob Odenkirk,
the
John Wick.
yeah,
Yeah.
the John, but for those who may not know, the director previously did Hardcore Henry, which I think it came out like 3 or 4 years ago. I want to say like my freshman sophomore year of high school. But besides the point, that's kind of how he got famous. And this is, I think, his follow up. I'm not sure if he did I think, yeah, I'm pretty sure this is follow up. But there are similarities between it and John Wick, but it's quite the ride. I don't know if I don't know if I'm like over the moon about it. Because I think there's a few moments where it's a little it maybe leans into the direct his like, I don't know if you want to call them director trademarks, but there's a few slow-mo scenes where it's just kind of the song playing and it's all the characters are going through the motions. I'm trying not to spoil it the best I can. I, that was kind of the only moments where I thought, like, I don't know if it was exactly necessary, but I mean it builds to the atmosphere of the film, so I don't dislike it completely. um and you know RZA, RZA, and Christopher Lloyd are awesome in it as a
Wait,
little bit of,
RZA's in it?
yeah, RZA is, I don't want to, I wish I could speak more about it, but Christopher Lloyd, you can barely tell what he's saying in this movie, and it's awesome every single time he's on screen. Especially in like the third act, I think Christopher Lloyd and RZA really steal the show. And it's quite fun to see them together, and I would totally be down for a spin-off movie based around that duo. I thought Bob Odenkirk was good. My main thing that kind of gets with the movie, if I can kind of, I'm going to talk about it with not trying not to spoil anything, but kind of the main thing that sets the whole plot forward. um I think it, it this might be the point. It's hard to say. Chris, do you care about spoilers?
No, I'll probably be fine.
Okay, all right. I'm gonna spoil because it's really hard to talk about. So for people that Bob Odenkirk's character, he's he used to be a mercenary, but now he's kind of turned away from that life to lead a normal life and just have like a regular family life. And you see him kind of struggling with it. And then so one night he kind of has this breaking point, and it's really like kind of odd because he's in this bus and there's this younger girl, probably like mid-20s, and there's this group of Russians, and they're driving in a Hummer, and they crash on the side of the road, and they're still partying. So they get out of the crashed Hummer, they're partying, and then they get onto the bus that he's on, and they're kind of being obnoxious, I guess. But to me, they're just kind of being, just like drunk. Like I don't think anything that they did really like damned them or anything. And they make like a comment or two towards the girl that's like, hey, like come drink with us, like what are you doing later? Which I don't agree with it, because it's harassment to a certain extent, but they never touch her, or like they're just near her and they're making her uncomfortable.
Yeah.
But he decides to lock the bus door and beat the hell out of them for it. And that sets out like the chain of events. And it's just such a weird, because it's like, did these guys deserve to get beat up? It's tough to say, but I think like a part of what the film is kind of getting at is that you think that Bob Odenkirk kind of wanted to be pulled back into it. Like this was the smallest reason he had to like go back into it, even if it's not completely warranted, which again, just to clarify, I don't think harassing women is fine. I very strongly disagree with that, but I don't think what they did necessarily warranted getting stabbed and getting glass bottles beaten into their head and getting thrown around, so that's the only part that I'm iffy on. But long story short, it's an entertaining movie, especially if you are itching for another John Wick-esque, like I guess like stylized action film. This will relieve that kind of itch for you.
Could you take Bob Odenkirk seriously playing it just like completely straight in a role like this? Or
I was worried about that, I'll be honest, because I love Bob Odenkirk. I've seen fuck, what's his comedy show that he had with David
Mr.
Cross?
Show?
Mr. Show, yeah. Mr. Show I think is amazing, and he's super funny in it. Even on the reboot or whatever that they did for Netflix, I really enjoyed that too. So yeah, I was nervous about that, and I'll be honest, I thought he did pretty good. I don't know if there's a lot to his character, because like to a certain extent, like there's a scene where the villain is like, all right, we got to learn about this guy, who is he? And he's talking to his assistant, he's like, call like the CIA or like Interpol or something to figure out who he is. And so the dude at the CIA goes to the computer and he clicks on it and he's trying to figure out who he is, and it says redacted, and then he goes down to the basement to find his file, and it just says nobody, and like everything's blacked out and like inked out, and it's just like there's stuff for his character to go through, but I think he's kind of like a vehicle for action and also to like explore. I mean, in my not Discord, letterbox review I wrote, it's kind of similar to Another Round, which is not something I thought I'd say going into Nobody, but it's about reflecting on your past self and kind of realizing how you've changed, and making the decision to either travel and try to get back to who you were, or make a difference, or take certain aspects from who you were and take it back into your current self. So yeah, I think that's a little interesting on the part. I would have liked to see more of an exploration into that, because it's kind of just the first 15 minutes, and then he's like, I'm back, and then he just is like kicking, he's beating up everyone,
kicking ass, dude.
Ass, taking names. The fight scenes are good, they're amazingly done, but I expected that because of, Hardcore Henry. I think the dude is an amazing action filmmaker.
So not worthy of being on the list though.
No, unfortunately not. I thought about it. I was like, it it doesn't get an honorable mention. But if I could have a tier
honorable mention list, I guess you can do that in the comments. You can just kind of like.
That's what I've been doing in in anyone who has seen my action list on Letterboxd. There's I threw in like the trailer for Kong versus Godzilla would definitely make it in this list if I could add it. Blade gets an honorable mention. I think if I can just rattle off my last movie that I got a chance to see. Speaking of honorable mentions, I think Mortal Kombat by Paul W.S. Anderson would definitely get an honorable mention because oh boy,
it's so fun.
Have you seen the sequel?
I haven't seen the sequel.
Dude,
I've only seen the first movie.
It's the sequel's it. I've only seen half of it. I'm finishing the rest of it on Wednesday because me and a group of friends we stayed up kind of late. We weren't able to finish it. But dude, Annihilation it's so much fun. It's so stupid. Like it is, and the effects are somehow even more dated than in the first one.
Is Christopher Lambert in that one too?
He's not, but the dude that plays Raiden they're two different Raidens, but they're both equally as awesome. Like I think I'm forgetting his name, but the actor that plays Patrick on SpongeBob. Is it something Clancy?
No, you're thinking Clancy Brown plays Tom Clancy.
Clancy
Brown. Clancy Brown voices Mr. Krabs.
Mr. Krabs.
I think the guy that voices Patrick is like his name is like Bill Fingerback or something. Or are you thinking of the guy that voices SpongeBob? Tom Kenny.
No, it's not Tom Kenny. The dude, I thought it was the dude. Yeah, I might be messing it up in my head somewhere, but dude, it's so funny. Like I want to tell you about this one scene, but I don't want to ruin anything.
Yeah, I think I may watch it this week because the new one comes out. So
yeah, that's what everyone's trying to get those two in before
everyone
building up hype. Everyone. Similar to the Monsterverse, or everyone was trying to get in those previous 3 monster films. But yeah, dude, it's a little. I'll be honest. The sequel doesn't really get. I
mean,
what's the lead? What's the Lao? I'm not a Mortal Kombat
Kung Lao.
Who's the lead in Mortal Kombat?
The character or the actor? Well, the actor is Liu Kang.
Liu Kang. They make the mistake of like they're trying to give Liu Kang something to do in the sequel, but they're kind of repeating his same like character arc, but it's equally as funny as it was in the first one because everyone's like, Liu Kang, you have to learn. Why aren't you learning from all of this? And but it's fun. It's fun. I'm super excited to finish it. But Mortal Kombat Annihilation might, depending on how it ends, it might be able to make it in my legendary action film.
Wow, list. even despite lacking the direction of video game auteur Paul W.S. Anderson.
I love Paul W.S. Anderson, man.
I know that's
awesome.
Probably that's definitely something on my list that I got to finish with some friends. Is that there was that one day when we all marathoned
Resident Evil.
4 Paul W.S. Anderson movies. And I think we got to finish. We got to cap that off. We got to finish the Resident Evil films and other odds and ends that we missed.
Dude, his first movie sounds, not to go off on too much of a tangent on Paul W.S. Anderson, but his first film, Shopping, sounds awesome. It's about like underground, like British crime. And that sounds awesome. And then he did another movie, I think right after Mortal Kombat, called Soldier. And it's got Kurt Russell, right? Yeah, I really want to see that. That one is for people who might, I don't think I've talked about it on the podcast, but I made a comprehensive action movie list called Dudes Rock 69-day film. No, 60 Dudes Rock Summer 69 film challenge, which now has 80 films. So it's got a lot, but it's my summer challenge with a couple of friends to get through a good bit of these action movies.
What we're gonna do it.
We're gonna do it.
And so I guess the last thing I wanted to talk, well, actually two things. Obligatory, I have to discuss, the obligatory Woody Allen film that I watched this week. But first off, let me talk about another recent release, Shoplifters of the World, which came out this year, dumped on VOD. It was filmed in 2018, so I think that wasn't a good sign when I first saw the trailer. And the thing that it reminded me the most of was actually I Want to Hold Your Hand by Robert Zemeckis, which we watched at the beginning of this year, because it's about a bunch of Smiths fans that live in Colorado, and like it's the night that the Smiths broke up, and like they're really sad and stuff, and the kid from Boyhood is in the movie. And
interesting.
I mean, he's not really that good of an actor. I mean, I like Boyhood. He was good in that role, but he really, I don't know. But nobody's really, so the acting isn't very good, and it's just a bunch of obnoxious characters that talk about how much they like the Smiths, and then
are they for or against Morrissey?
Well, there's actually a line about that. There's one part where the only character that I like in the movie, which is this like metalhead DJ that he's like hard rock metalhead guy that the kid from Boyhood holds hostage at gunpoint and forces him to play Smith's music on the radio.
Nice.
And he says something about like sometimes your hero, you can't always worship your heroes because they're eventually going to get old and say really dumb things or something. And so like throughout the whole
movie, they're talking
I think
about.
Morrissey would never.
Morrissey.
I think the only saving grace of the movie was the fact that the soundtrack was like actually all Smiths music. Like, so it wasn't like I Want to Hold Your Hand where there's like barely any Beatles music, if any. I think
there were like 4 songs.
Songs,
if I remember correctly.
Yeah, because I do remember Please Please Me playing. But all the characters are really obnoxious. And as somebody that I would probably say the Smiths are like probably one of the most important bands, part of my life, it gave me kind of a gross feeling. I was like, I don't want to be associated with these people. But at the same time, whenever Morrissey opens his mouth, it also makes me feel gross.
Yeah.
So, I was disappointed with this one, but my expectations weren't really high. And it's just nothing remarkable. And I think the worst part is in the dialogue. What they do is they force Smith's lyrics into conversations, and you can clearly tell. And it's like, oh, that was a Smith's lyric, and it's very awkward.
I've never had that feeling before, dude. Because when I watched Across the Universe, I was like, damn. This is cool.
That's what you said?
I was like, I can't believe Maxwell dropped the hammer. That's insane.
Maxwell, stop banging that hammer. When Bono started singing I Am the Walrus.
What was that one scene? Oh, shoot. I'm getting derailed. Sorry. There's that one Across the Universe, but just to bring it up really quick, there's a movie, the movie that you just talked about, it was reminding me of a film called As You Are, which has Charlie Heaton in it from Stranger Things, and there's another actor in there that plays the opposite of him, and he's really good too. And he was in, I wish I could, it's Luke, hold up, I just brought it up, what's his name? Oh my God. Oh, Owen Campbell, who was in Super Dark Times. But the a huge plot point of that movie is the death of Kurt Cobain. So it just kind of reminded me of it. I don't think I don't think it plays as big as a factor as the Smiths do in that movie. But I don't know. But
Yeah,
what
it's
was
like,
the other? Mhm.
oh, it's like, yeah, it's like similar with how
Yeah,
they.
kind of handled it. Yeah, it was. I don't know. That movie's okay. It's a decent drama.
um I guess the last thing I wanted to talk about was Deconstructing Harry, which is a Woody Allen movie from '97.
Mhm.
My man Woody in the '90s was really hitting a lot of it was he kind of was hitting a few stinkers, and then this came along, and I think it's one of his best.
Mhm.
It's pretty autobiographical, and you can kind of tell. Woody Allen plays a writer, which I've never seen before ever. Uh, but yeah, he plays a writer, and it's just kind of him like talking about how his art kind of and like his writing kind of inspires other like how his life inspires like what he writes about, and how people in his life get really mad about like the direct comparisons, as if he's like kind of exposing kind of personal parts of their life. And he's just a massive asshole. Like he's like, I think this is like one of the worst characters that Alan like has played, like morally.
Mhm.
Everybody hates him. He like is terrible to women. Like he's like, he's just like abusive. He's like not like physically abusive, emotionally abusive. He's like
Mhm.
mean. He's terrible to it. He's like kind of he kidnaps his kid at one point. And then there's this, and it's like just all this stuff's going on, and then you kind of have these interesting jump cuts
Mhm.
that kind of is like more akin to something you'd see in a Godard movie. And then it kind of weaves in the fictional parts from his books, and
Mhm.
how they run parallel to his life. And and like it's clear that like one romantic entanglement is like a direct riff of like what happened between him and Mia Farrow, like
Mhm.
romantically, not the other stuff.
Yeah.
Um but yeah, I mean, like it's I know some people don't really go for it, but
Mhm.
I think it's pretty great from an introspective purpose. And if you I think it's a good one though if you've seen like a lot of Woody Allen though. I think if you lead off with this one, you may kind of be a bit lost. There's this one scene where he goes to hell too, which is very funny.
Oh, Woody Allen. Well, I'll have to check it out.
Yeah.
I definitely would like to check out some more of his movies. But I just haven't gotten around to it yet. Um,
There's so many.
yeah, there are a good bit. Well, I guess are you ready? We can jump into the news if you are ready.
Yes, let's do it.
All right, we'll get the trailers out of the way. We have a few rerun trailers, which I'm gonna deem it as rerun because I know we've already talked about a good bit of these, but Without Remorse, which is the new Michael B. Jordan movie based off of a Tom Clancy novel, has released a new trailer. That's out April 30th on Amazon Prime. Ghostbusters has released a new teaser, which includes the mini puffs.
Is Muncher
Uh,
gonna be in it?
dude, I hope so. I
Did you
hope so
hear,
so much.
just a quick aside, apparently if you're subscribed to Tim Heidecker's subscription Patreon thing that he does,
Mm.
he actually does an interview with Muncher. So I'll let you know how that
Yeah,
goes if I get to
I'm
watch
excited.
it.
Yeah. Um, they just posted a little teaser. I think it's just kind of something to hold over people until it gets released, and that release date is November 11th, 2000. 2021, sorry. Jupiter's Legacy, which is a adaptation of Mark Millar's comic book, is coming out on Netflix on May 7th. And I'm not gonna lie, I don't think this one is getting the fair treatment I think it deserves. I actually do really like Mark Millar and a lot of his work. And this one just going based off the trailer, and the film could be totally different. Things can always change. But the trailer just looks a little cheap. The visual effects look a little cheap to me, but all that could change. The film might work, but maybe not the visual effects, but we will see. And we also don't know the story if the visual effects are rushed or how much funding they had for the effects side. The Cruella trailer, they released a new trailer for Cruella de Vil, which is out May 28th in theater and also premiere access on Disney Plus.
Female Joker, isn't that what they changed the
hyphen female? Yeah, which I think we talked about that last time. If you watch that and the Joker trailer, it's a 1-to-1. It's pretty funny.
Yeah.
Those Who Wish Me Dead, which is a new Angelina Jolie movie. It also has, it's got quite the cast. It's got Tyler Perry, Nicholas Hoult, if I remember correctly, Littlefinger from Game of Thrones, although I'm forgetting the actor's name. I don't even remember if Littlefinger was his name.
I think I know who you're talking.
Was it Littlefinger?
Wasn't Littlefinger Peter Baelish? Yeah,
Peter Baelish. That's right. That's right. I couldn't remember his name. It's such a funny name to give a character, Littlefinger. This one, I watched a trailer for this one after watching the Space Jam: A New Legacy trailer. I'll be honest, this movie looks a little convoluted, but maybe it might be different upon release. But it'll be released on May 14th.
Taylor Sheridan really has he really has his fair share of dissenters, it seems. I don't
what
know
else
why.
has he done?
He did what's it called? He did what's that called? Oh god, he made, why can't I remember?
It's okay.
Wind River. He did Wind River and he did Hell or High Water.
Oh yeah.
Like he does all this like kind of like neo westerns. But I don't know. I liked Wind River when I saw it.
I thought Hell or High Water was okay. I always wanted to see Wind River, but I never did.
Fun fact, Wind River was actually the last movie that the Weinstein Company ever released.
Oh, it sucks to hold that mantle. But at least it was a critically acclaimed film, I guess. For him, it didn't. That's unfortunate, though, that it was attached to them.
Yeah.
For this movie, it just looks, I don't know. I would just say watch the trailer. And I think it reveals too much. But with the movie, it might be able to juggle all of those aspects at once. I think the trailer just throws a lot at the viewer. Joe writes The Woman in the Window is set to release on Netflix on May 14th. And that is a new movie with Amy Adams, and it seems to be Hitchcock inspired, maybe a little bit of Rear Window inspiration in there. But to jump into the news, we have Eli Roth is continuing to build out his Borderlands cast, and he added Edgar Ramirez to the cast.
Every week he's building up that cast.
It doesn't seem to stop, but good. I'm glad to see it moving along. I'm interested. I feel like we've literally covered it every single week for like the past, I mean, God knows how long, but congrats to them. Matt Sobel's Sobel, remake of Goodnight Mommy has added Naomi Watts to play the lead, which she will be playing the mom. I don't know if the original film is still on Amazon Prime, but if you like a good psychological thriller, I would say check that one out. It's pretty creepy. I haven't seen it in quite some time. But Sam Mendes is working on his next film called Empire of Light, and he has added Olivia Colman to the cast. He also wrote the movie, and I don't know why it's not showing up, but I know Roger Deakins is set to return as his DP. Searchlight Pictures is producing it, and also the plot is a 1980s love story set in England. And in a little bit of sad news, Sylvester Stallone will not be in Creed 3.
What?
There's no reason why he will not be, or no official reason. He just has commented that he will not be in Creed 3, but he is currently working on a new cut of Rocky 4, and he is also working on a prequel series for Rocky, which will take place before the first Rocky film. So I mean, maybe they'll do something with this character. Maybe this is a scripted thing why he's not back. But it just seems a little odd for him to not be a part of the new franchise, but still be very in touch with the whole franchise. I don't know. But we'll see when that movie comes out.
Yeah.
But in awesome news, in some sick ass awesome news, G.I. Joe Snake Eyes Origins is set to release on July 23rd, 2021, which this one crept up back again. Chris, I remember we texted, you said that you thought I'd covered it, but I
could have
genuinely
sworn, but
I have no recollection of talking about
what
this
the
movie.
fuck is this? It doesn't have anybody that I've heard of. Oh, well, it's got Samara Weaving in it, I guess. I know. I mean, I know who she is.
Yeah. Well, the director Robert Schwenkai. I'm sorry for mispronouncing that. Schwentke, who previously did R.I.P. to Allegiant
Let's
and
fucking
Insurgent.
go.
He's the director. I do, because I thought it was just going to be called G.I. Joe Snake Eyes, but apparently it's Snake Eyes Origins. So what that tells me is that they looked at Wolverine Origins and said, okay, we're gonna do that, and we're gonna
But
do
I
that.
just don't
Naming scheme.
understand. It's been 8 years since G.I. Joe Retaliation.
8 years of pain and torture that we've had to wait in the meantime.
That's
Yes.
right. And
Listen,
apparently, did you hear that they're making a 4th movie too? G.I. Joe Ever Vigilant, I guess, according to Wikipedia.
Oh, I did hear about that when I was researching for this movie. That I had also not heard of. Listen, man, Hasbro's serious. They got that Uno movie coming out with Little Yachty. They're
right.
Really beefing up all their. I mean, but listen, I mean, I watched the first G.I. Joe like a month or two ago. I do plan on watching the second one. They're pretty fun if you want to turn your brain off. They're not very good movies. I think this one is. I don't know. We'll see. I didn't know that I'm honestly surprised that the G.I. Joe kind of brand has not just decided to do like a TV show. That would be the natural progression to me, that they would kind of like stay away. But I mean, the movies performed well back in the day, in like 2006 and 2008. If I'm remembering correctly, I could be wrong. Maybe it's but anyways, yeah, so that's quite interesting. Park Chan-wook is currently working on a movie called Decision to Leave. He previously did Old Boy. And he's also working on an adaptation of the book The Sympathizer, which the writer was influenced by Old Boy, I should say influenced / inspired to make the story of The Sympathizer. But he will be making it. Park Chan-wook is working on a TV adaptation of it for A24, so he's staying pretty busy. Kelly Fremon Craig has added Benny Sadvi to the cast of Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret, which is just kind of cool to see Benny Sadvi just totally go out and
adapting a children's novel.
Well, oh, sorry, it adds him to the cast. Sorry, so he's going to be acting in it. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, I think we covered it last last week. He's going to be in the Obi-Wan Kenobi show, and he's in a few other big name type stuff that's coming up soon. So that's cool to see him, because he's a very good and talented individual. Tom Holland has joined there's a new show that Apple TV Plus is working on. It'll be an anthology show called The Crowded Room. And Tom Holland has joined the cast for the first season to be the lead. I kind of wrote a little bit about this because I thought it was a little interesting, but Akiva Goldsman will be the lead writer and producer of it. And to quote Empire directly, this is what they said: the season is inspired by Daniel Keyes' biography, The Minds of Billy Milligan, end quote. And Billy Milligan is a person who suffered from dissociative identity disorder, and he was arrested. And it's kind of about, I guess, Milligan's, I can't want to say Manigan, but Billy Milligan's issues with mental health and being prosecuted for a crime. But the show is set to tackle mental illness, and it's going to be an anthology show based around that. Steven Spielberg has added Paul Dano to the cast of his next film, which is the one that's based off of his life, and Paul Dano will play the role of Steven's father. She-Hulk adds Renee Eloise Goldsberry, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, to the cast. James Mangold adds Phoebe Waller-Bridge to the cast of Indiana Jones 5. And unfortunately, we just had a new slate of delays, which include Top Gun Maverick is moved to December. Mission Impossible 7 is moved to May 2021. MI8 is moved to July 2023. Dungeons and Dragons is moved to March 2023. Kenneth Branagh's Bee Gees movie is moved, to November 2022. Ryan Reynolds and John Krasinski's Unentitled movie is moved to November 2023. The Star Trek film, which is currently untitled, will move to June 2023. For The Forever Purge, which I guess is the next movie in the Purge franchise, is moved to July of this year. Peter Rabbit 2 is moved to June of this year. And then that's the end of the delays for this year. But Francis Lee, who previously made God's Own Country, has added Josh O'Connor to Francis's new horror film, or added Josh O'Connor to the cast of his new film. And lastly, David F. Sandberg has added Lucy Liu to the cast of Shazam: Fury of the Gods, which is the Shazam sequel.
All right, cool.
But I guess on that note, we can take a quick ad break.
All right.
Oh, wait. Okay, and we are back.
Our movie this week is G.I. Joe Retaliation.
Yeah,
this came
we
out
psyched y'all out.
We can only wish.
We can only wish. Yeah, Chris, that's what I'd be saying. But me and Chris actually got VIP tickets to go to Jamaica and see G.I. Joe Retaliation. So it's quite a special little event for us.
You go to Jamaica and watch a movie that's been out for 8 years for the premiere.
Well, we haven't really told anyone, but we're a huge hit in Jamaica, and we're doing a live beach commentary audio track for G.I. Joe Retaliation. So hopefully the wind isn't too bad on us that night.
Hopefully. But yes,
hopefully the Pentatonics don't show up at the same time.
Well, no, they would never leave the US to attack us.
It's a dueling concert where me and Chris do audio commentary on an 8-year-old film, and they do their regular a cappella thing. I bet you guys didn't think you'd hear more about that awesome song, did you?
But our film is actually La Strada from 1954, directed by Federico Fellini. So this is my third Fellini that I've seen, so kind of used to his whole shebang kind of at this point. But what did you think about La Strada, Fulton?
So I accidentally lied. This isn't the first Fellini I've seen. I've seen the first 10 minutes of 8.5.
Oh wow.
And I started it really late at night, and I got really tired and I fell asleep.
That's not one to watch late at night. That is the
It's not that might be, you know what I mean? So so yeah, so I've had a little bit of I've seen the first 10 minutes of that, but this is my first full Fellini film. And I guess right off the bat, I thought it was really good. I thought the lead actress who plays Galizmia, how do you pronounce her name?
yeah, Galizmia.
Galizmia. I thought she was very entertaining to watch. She's one I really do like very animated actors. And not to compare her to Martin Lawrence, but I think she does a lot of acting with her face. And it's very reminiscent of Charlie Chaplin to me, which I think was kind of the point. At least I hope it was, because I think that is a very smart decision by Fellini. I liked Zampano at first, but the more time you spend with him, I think the less of a likable character that he is, and he turns more into a deeply flawed character. I'm trying to think more about what I wanted to say. I'm interested to talk to you about the ending, but we can save that for a little bit later, because I don't want to jump too far into it. But did Fellini? I mean, I know a big staple of his work is casting real life people to play in the films. So did he do that with this one a lot?
He did. Yeah, he did. He did actually.
Okay.
He actually he did the similar Italian neorealist thing in this movie where he just cast real life actors with just regular people. And I mean Giulietta Messina, though, who plays Gelsomina, is not that, though. She's been in other Fellini movies. She's in Knights of Cambria as well. But I couldn't tell you exactly, but I did watch the Martin Scorsese thing on the Criterion channel where he's talking about La Strada and how influential it's been to his filmmaking. And he talks about how kind of, and I watched it before I watched the movie, so he talks about how Zampano, how that character is kind of really important to like how a lot of the characters in his movies, like he says that Jake LaMotta and Raging Bull or Travis Bickle and Taxi Driver are definitely directly inspired
I think it's
by
pronounced
like
pickle. Sorry.
Travis Bickle. He's like, they're directly inspired by Zampano, and you can kind of see that as like this person that's just like incredibly destructive to everyone around them and kind of shies away from. I'm mainly talking about Raging Bull in that regard, but you can kind of see how this person, somebody that's just like incredibly destructive and just kind of doesn't realize until like they've kind of lost everything, that the error of their ways. And so that's what I mostly paid attention to, because I think that Zampano is really the one to focus on in this movie, because he's kind of the one that controls everything and kind of, he's controlling the story. And if you look at it through that, in that regard, you can kind of see how it makes you feel, it just, I don't know. I mean, it's hard to not feel very sympathetic towards Gelsomina with how he reciprocates everything that she, with every like form of like, comfort, or like, when she just tries to be nice to him, like he just always, pushes her away.
He's a brute.
Yeah. And he's very abusive.
Yeah,
person, a very bad person.
extremely. To talk about the other main, I guess, male in the film, the fool. Um, at first I thought he was supposed to be the more enchanting man, the one that would kind of take Gleesmo away from kind of the harsh reality that she was living with Zampano. But I thought he was always kind of a dick. I never really liked him, if I'm being honest.
Well, I don't think you're supposed to like him.
Yeah,
I don't think you're supposed to like him until the end. Is how I thought of it,
the fool.
because he doesn't give you any reason to like. He doesn't give you any reason to like him as a character.
Mhm.
Well,
The only reason I thought that they were supposed to kind of have this thing was they after she first sees him perform, they kind of have that exchange of glances at each other, and it looked kind of like a new kind of friendship thing. And then later he tells her, he's like, you're quite actually unattractive. And I don't know, it was a little weird to me.
he's like, you look like an asparagus, actually.
Yeah, I was like, damn, dude, I thought you were supposed to be the nice guy, or something.
There are no nice guys in show business.
Yeah.
It's a dog eat dog world.
Truly.
Yeah, so yeah, I guess I just want to, if we can just backtrack, I guess I just want to kind of give background to people
Yeah.
about like kind of what this movie is about. And so it's about this woman that leaves her village in Italy with this traveling showman named Zampano, and she helps him out, and they go, town to town doing their act where he's like, I'm really strong, and I can break this chain.
My pectoral are also known as chest muscles.
And so that happens, and so and so like you kind of see how their kind of relationship changes over time, and like also like the different scenarios that they get into. But it almost feels kind of helpless for it, or does feel helpless for the main character, Gelsomina, who's given multiple opportunities to leave this kind of toxic, abusive relationship with Zampano and start anew, but she can't, she can't emancipate herself from this, because I don't know, she does say like, if I leave you, then
Who will stay with you?
who will stay with you? And I think she feels like she has some type of duty, or just to, for, I guess, for the, maybe for the safety of other people, or or maybe in some kind of messed up way.
There's also, I think she does like him to a certain extent, even with her understanding of all of his flaws. And the only reason I say that is there's a scene in the later end of the film, where they're in a farm and it's at night, and she's kind of keeps asking him about what's on his mind, and what he's, if I remember correctly, what's on his mind, and she's trying to figure out. I think she asked him, do you have feelings for me? And I kind of interpreted that as she's trying to, I guess, get past his exterior and finally see if there's anything between them. But so
Yeah, I think I see that too, with how I mean, he, like, it's like, he does probably, I think we're just gonna go into spoilers, because
it's a little hard to get around.
yeah, he'll just, he does probably, like, arguably something that is almost, in a lot of ways, a lot of people would say is like kind of an irredeemable act, like just kill somebody in cold blood.
Mhm.
And she still stays with him, Yeah, I mean, she's horrified.
Yeah.
It's not like she's it's not like a Badlands type scenario. It's just more like I'm horrified, but I don't know what to do. I don't know what to leave. I don't know if I should leave. I don't know where to go.
Yeah. She
And
also, I think she has a certain understanding that wherever she goes, it won't be the same. So she can't really return home because of what she's experienced, you know. I think there's also some pressure from her mom that she won't be benefiting or helping out if she comes back home.
yeah, I think it really could. I think that that's probably a good way of putting it, is that she she feels out of place at home now.
Mm-hmm.
And and yeah, it is an interesting character development to see Zampano be the one to leave her.
Yeah.
Like, because I guess that does show some type of development in his character, because at least he like knows, like, all right, I'm not I'm a destructive person. I'm not really being like, I think he kind of sees the innocence of her, and like doesn't want to
Face
ruin
it.
that. Yeah.
One way I kind of took it was that after the incident where the fool is murdered, um even by accident, he's still murdered by the hand of Zampano. um she stands as a constant reminder of that incident, because there will be moments where she's fine, and then she kind of like is, then she says a line and she has a blank face in her look where she says the fool is hurt. And I
Mhm.
think part of why he left her there was because he just couldn't live with the fact that he had killed somebody. That was kind of the way I took it, and so he knew that he had to get away from her. But I think it's interesting because up to that point, he's super super protective of her, and just about like anything that normally related to if another, you know. I just say he's protective because I'm thinking of the moments where the fool, where I think the fool was really one of the few ways that you know, he gave her an out, and I don't know if he knew that, but he just hated the fool, and he wanted them to have nothing to do with each other.
Mhm.
But yeah, it's interesting for him to just leave her there. And and it's a weird comparison, but in the last half of the film, after Zampano has left her, he's working for a circus, and he's walking through the town, or this little town that the circus is being held in, and he hears a woman whistling a tune that Gleesma would play on a trumpet, and he's like, hey, how did you hear, like, where did you hear that from? How did you get that tune? I thought it was going to be like a La La Land moment, where
Mhm.
like these
Yeah.
two ex-lovers are going to reunite out of some weird coincidence type thing. um but the truth is a little bit sadder, that she basically came to this town and still lived out the remainder of her days, kind of still haunted by what she witnessed with the fool. And she passed away. You know, I know there are a few kind of comments about her mental health, um and I don't know if they ever really like declare it. Everyone just kind of says that she's a little odd. Um, but they say it in a certain type of tone where it's insinuating that maybe she has a mental disorder. But I think in the end that her disorder plus the I don't know what you would call it, but the anguish of having to deal with that kind of got the best of her. And she had no one to lean on too.
Yeah.
You know?
Entirely. And the only other person she could have had, the only other person she could have had to lean on was killed by him. Like,
Yeah, the only two people. I mean, I guess she could have gone back to the convent.
yeah, that's true.
But uh you know, maybe she looked at that as a kind of, and it's just there's no evidence to support it, but just saying off the top of my head, maybe she just figured she couldn't go back. because that would be an intense pressure to face, having witnessed someone being murdered, then have to, you know, be a part of a religion. I think that would be kind of intense.
Yeah, for sure.
But, you know, that's just me thinking there's no evidence to support that she went through that, you know.
And so that's, I think the ending is just quite poetic and in kind of how showing how he finally, how this kind of irredeemable person kind of comes to realizing that he sorry, my dad was calling me.
Good.
It's kind, I kind of realize it's, I think that the ending's kind of beautiful because it shows that this irredeemable person kind of doesn't realize what he's done and what he's responsible for until the very end, until like he lost somebody that he may have acted like he didn't care about, but he really did deep down care about her in some kind of messed up way.
Mm-hmm.
An interesting comparison that that friend of the show, Pate Duncan, actually brought up was how there's kind of some parallels between this and Buffalo 66, and I wanna you know see if you can feel that at all.
Yeah,
If you
I
agree.
mean, extremely, in the sense of an abusive, controlling male to a relatively like pretty innocent female, but regardless of how flawed the male partner is, they decide to stick with him and kind of see him through it. I think as even as even as flawed as Vincent Gallo his character is in Buffalo 66, I think he's a little bit more likable to me than maybe Zampano.
Well,
'Cause
he's more definitely soft on the
yeah,
inside. Like
for
definitely
sure.
has a lot more, like, I don't know.
You see that
in-
softness in him that you don't get to see in Zampano.
well, yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, it's definitely a lot. He's a lot harder of a character, a lot less
Mhm.
likable,
Yeah.
but it's like almost like he just does all these, he just treats her like complete garbage and she
Mhm.
still like likes him, and it's like almost like kind of like he's like, why do you like me? Like,
Yeah. It's it. I think the not to switch off, but I think you perfectly said it. I do think it's pretty funny in that movie how he questions. He's like, I don't even get why I'm like an asshole.
yeah.
In Buffalo 66, that is. But in this movie, I think the only time you ever see that kind of exterior kind of fall off as Zampano is in the ending. But I don't really want to call it a softness, more of a sadness, in the realization that what he had will never come back to him again. Someone that will love him quite the same way that she did. That unrequited, like not unrequited, that kind of you know, just love for someone just because of they are who they are.
Unconditional
Yeah, unconditional.
love.
That's a great way to put it. Yeah, so it's interesting in that. I also felt really like engaged throughout the whole film too, which
Oh,
I wasn't sure if I would feel quite engaged, just of the few things that I've heard about Fellini, but nothing against him. I'm just saying that I actually felt, you know,
it's yeah, it's really
but that might be
the
due to part to Galisma's actress. I know you said her name, sorry, but I didn't mean to cut you off there.
oh, it's all good. Yeah, it's more direct of a story than the other two Fellini films that I've seen. I've seen
Mhm.
Amara Accord and I've seen 8.5, and this one is more of just kind of a straightforward narrative, where like 8.5's kind of all about like uh you know, it's kind of a commentary on like, you know, creating art and stuff and
Mhm.
all this other stuff that happens. And then, you know, Amara Accords more of like kind of a Fellini kind of looking back at, you know, his childhood. uh
Mhm.
Woody Allen's Radio Days, which, you know, Woody Allen loves Fellini, so it's you know, it's easy to see the direct inspiration that Radio Days had on AmeriCord, but just, you know, in America at the, you know, around the same time.
I think
But
AmeriCord might be my next Fellini movie that I get to, because I've been quite interested in that one.
It's a funny movie. It's a good time. And
is it a funny Fellini flick?
It's a funny Fellini flick. but like I still think that this is probably the best one that I've seen, just because I really do think, I mean, you know, it's because of the two leads, definitely. Both the leads are just so good, and the different types of characters that they play, where, you know, you have this guy kind of exhibiting all the worst worst traits of a male, of you know, a male character. You know, he's very, you know, toxically masculine, and in a lot of ways, with it, you know, just being a complete drunk, physically abusive, very boastful, all this other stuff. And then you have Gelsomina, who kind of is just this, you know, innocent, just like perfect, you know, woman, you know, somebody that doesn't really cast judgment, and is very like sympathetic and caring to all types of people. And they have to like live with each other and travel, and I think there is something nice to that. In a messed, I mean, it's a, you know, it's a sad movie, but the movie is very nice. It's a very well made film. Then I guess just one more thing I wanted to bring up was the guy that was eating spaghetti in air. He was suspended in air, and he was eating spaghetti, and I thought that was pretty funny.
That was pretty cool. Especially I liked he did the fake out where he's suspended in midair. He's like, whoa!
Oh, am I gonna?
He like circles around it. My spaghetti. Yeah, that was pretty fun. The fool did like, no, there's no way that the actor actually did that. They got it like a stunt double, right? I'd have to imagine that they did.
Yeah, I think
because I can't imagine that. Not knocking the actor, I'm just saying that that's a pretty scary thing to do for a film, to learn how to tightrope and do it
fake.
Yeah, like, you know, 10 feet up. Oh no, gotta be way higher than 10 feet. I meant like 10 stories up or something. Yeah.
And then also the Pebble speech is really good in the middle of the film, where you have Il Mato, and he's talking about how like everything has purpose and stuff, and like this pebble even has purpose, and like, I don't know, it's kind of nice. I think it kind of shows how she probably thought that she didn't have really an impact on Zampano's life, but she really did, and like she did have a purpose in the end.
Yeah.
You know, especially coming from like being believed that she's like, you know, she can't do anything at the beginning of the movie.
I guess just to get into a little bit of speculation, but do you think that, what's her name, Rosa? I know I'm saying it wrong. Gleesma's sister.
Yeah.
Rosa. Do you think that Zampano had anything to do with her death, or do you think she just died of natural causes? Because there's not a lot to like explain her death in the film.
I don't know. I could see it either way.
Yeah.
It like you said, speculation. Like it could be her death.
Welcome
is
to
why
the Theory Cast.
Welcome to Podcast 43 Theory. Not affiliated with Film Theory.
Oh my God, we love looking at shit.
We're gonna talk
And
about
theorizing.
we're gonna talk about the new Melissa McCarthy movie Thunder Force and why it's actually in the MCU. The only reason why I want to see that movie is because Octavia Spencer is in it, and maybe she could give a Ma level performance.
Well, I heard that there's a puppet Ma, and she's like, "What?" And
Holy shit.
they've got to fight each other. I kind of want to see it for Jason Bateman, but that might be where like my interest level kind of caps out.
I do actually really like. I think Octavia Spencer is a very good actress
Yeah.
too, but I don't know if she'll be really showing her range in Thunder Force. But she was in Blue Streak.
Is that the son of Jim Henson? Is he doing that, or is it just another like because in oh my god,
no, that
I'm
thinking
thinking
of the Happy Time Murders.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking of. So that puppet thing made no sense. I'm so sorry.
No, it's okay. You got your Melissa McCarthy comedies mixed up.
Then I mean, she loves working with Netflix. I mean, good for her, honestly.
Good for her. They filmed that in Atlanta, actually. They filmed it right at my former university, Georgia State University.
Mm. Did you get on set?
No, I sadly did not.
You should take like duck face selfies. Like, I don't know why I did that. It's audio. We only do audios. Yeah.
But yeah, enough about Melissa McCarthy movies. Yeah. But yeah, it's what would you? Yeah, I'm assuming you're gonna give this one a strong stamp a strong stamp of approval.
Yeah, I'm gonna give it the red band unrated stamp of approval.
All right.
Yeah, no, I highly recommend this movie. Go check it out. It's on Criterion Channel. If you have that subscription, it's also
on HBO Max as well.
Yeah.
And Criterion just released that Fellini box set as well. So
yeah,
if you are like, yeah, I've never seen a Fellini movie, but I'm gonna drop $250 on 12 of his movies, you can do that if you want.
It's weird. I want to do it for Cassavetes, but I don't know if I want to do it for Fellini yet.
Yeah, so I'd also recommend it. I give it 4.5 Melissa McCarthy's so Fulton, would you like to tell everybody what next week's film is?
Oh boy. I know we joked about it, but it is going to be G.I. Joe Retaliation. We're going to look at the impact of franchise's relevance in current pop culture. But in all seriousness, we're going to be turning back to black and white comedies. We previously covered W.C. Fields, and now I kind of want to look at some Marx Brothers, because me and Chris we were fortunate enough to have a film teacher walk us through Duck Soup, and I very much enjoyed that back in high school.
One of the great comedies.
It's awesome. I highly recommend that one if you haven't seen it. But we're gonna look at Animal Crackers, which is another highly regarded Marx Brothers films, and I'm hoping it will inspire me to watch the rest of their movies, because I'm quite interested in their filmography.
Oh, also one more thing. R.I.P. DMX.
Oh yeah. I know it's not film related, but it is.
I mean, he was in Belly, so he was an actor, but we lost a great one. One of the best voices in the game. His grunts and his shouting brought joy to me ever since I was a kid. So
a lot of energy to music. Yeah, so we hope that his family is doing okay, and that we hope that he rests in peace. Well, hope everyone stays safe, and we will see you guys next week.
All right, stay wavy, guys.